Look, if you're feeling completely overwhelmed by modern life and you're looking for a serious philosophical guide to just find some clarity, you're in the right place. In this explainer, we're diving into something truly mind-bending. We're synthesizing the cutting-edge discoveries of quantum field theory with the ancient, foundational wisdom of the Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita, specifically Chapter 18. We're going to build a literal survival manual for human consciousness to help you excel in a world that's frankly full of doubts and struggles.
Because think about it. Think about the chaotic, almost suffocating uncertainty of your day-to-day life. It leaves so many of us completely paralyzed by stress, right? Every single day we're facing endless choices. Maybe it's a massive career shift, a sudden financial curveball, or just trying to balance family expectations. It's an absolute barrage of unpredictable outcomes. And that mental clutter, it doesn't just make you tired. It leads to a deep, debilitating psychological exhaustion. And the crazy thing is, this exhaustion isn't just a modern phenomenon. Back in the very first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the great warrior Arjuna essentially has a complete psychological breakdown right before a massive, life-altering battle. He literally says, "My mind is spinning, his heart's racing, his bow is slipping from his hands, he can't even think straight." Modern neuroscience has a perfectly good name for this, an amygdala hijack. It's this state of extreme cortisol dominance where the sheer volume of unpredictable probabilities literally shuts down the brain's prefrontal cortex. Arjuna was trapped in deep quantum uncertainty, totally blinded by emotional chaos.
So how do we solve this paralysis, whether it's Arjuna on some ancient battlefield or, you in a modern corporate boardroom? Well, we can't just look at psychology alone. We actually have to understand the fundamental fabric of reality itself. We need to look at the underlying mechanics of the universe we're operating in.
Think of the universe like a massive ocean. Modern quantum field theory tells us that what we see as separate individual particles, like an electron or a photon, are actually just tiny excitations or ripples on the surface of deep, invisible, unified fields that permeate absolutely all of space. Literally everything is connected underneath. Now, what's wild is that thousands of years ago, the Upanishads described this exact same interconnected reality. They used different words, of course. They called it Brahman, the single, unmanifest source of everything. Our ever-changing physical reality is just a wave emerging from that timeless, foundational ocean.
Reality, therefore, exists in layers that go way beyond what our physical eyes can see. It starts with what ancient texts call the sthula, that's the gross material state. It's the predictable, classical physics we interact with every single day. But dig a little deeper and you hit the sukshma, the subtle, probabilistic quantum state where multiple possibilities coexist. And deeper still, the karana, the unmanifest causal realm, the actual foundation where everything originates. The physical world we touch is just the very top crust of this profound structure.
Now, to truly understand our place in this multi-layered universe, we have to map our own consciousness directly onto these laws of physics. We are not just passive biological meat suits reacting to a random world. We're the observers, and in quantum physics, the observer is absolutely essential to how reality takes shape. Consciousness isn't just a random byproduct of the brain, it's literally a foundational pillar of the universe.
The Mandukya Upanishad maps this out perfectly through its ancient states of consciousness, known as avastatraya, and it is incredibly similar to modern physics. When you're awake, that state perfectly corresponds to the measurable, classical world of solid objects. But when you dream, your mind operates remarkably like quantum superposition, multiple potential realities and entirely weird physics existing all at once. Then there's deep sleep, which mirrors the quantum vacuum, a state teeming with potential but completely unobservable. And finally, Turiya. This is pure consciousness itself, the ultimate observer in neo-quantum physics that actively collapses endless potentialities into the single, observable reality you actually experience.
The Brihadaranyaka Upanishad has this incredibly powerful invocation, Asato Ma Sad Gamaya. It translates to, lead me from the unreal to the real. And applied to our lives today, the unreal is that exhausting illusion that we have total deterministic control over every single outcome. That belief that if we just stress and worry enough, things will go our way. The real, on the other hand, is stepping into the light of a fluid, interconnected, probabilistic quantum reality. It's accepting that we're part of a vast system where our consciousness plays an active role, sure, but where rigid control is a total illusion.
Just like quantum entanglement proves that particles instantly influence each other across vast distances, totally ignoring the boundaries of space and time, ancient imagery reminds us that we are woven into a boundless cosmic web. We're not isolated little actors fighting against the world. We are deeply entangled with the universe's energy. Every action you take reverberates through this underlying field. Realizing this completely shatters the illusion that we're doing everything completely alone, separated from the whole.
So, if we're deeply entangled in this reality of endless, totally unpredictable possibilities, how do we actually live? How do we find clarity in our actions without just getting completely overwhelmed? This is exactly where Chapter 18 of the Bhagavad Gita comes in. It's known as Moksha Sannyasa Yoga, and it is, quite literally, an action manual for operating within the complex quantum field.
Chapter 18 makes a critical distinction between sannyasa, which is renouncing action entirely, and tyaga. Tyaga is the relinquishment of attachment to the fruits of your actions. Let's be very clear. Tyaga is not about quitting your job, ghosting your family, and moving to a cave. No way. It's about giving that high-stakes presentation at work to the absolute best of your ability, but completely dropping the agonizing anxiety over whether it actually gets you the promotion. It's engaging fully in the action itself while completely surrendering the craving for a specific outcome.
And there are literal thermodynamic benefits to doing this. In physics, entropy is the measure of chaos and disorder. When we obsess over unpredictable future outcomes, our mental entropy goes through the roof. Our brains heat up with chaotic, scattered energy. Practicing tyaga, letting go of the result, acts as a literal cooling mechanism for your nervous system. It conserves your psychological energy, it stabilizes your emotional circuitry, and it brings your internal state into a balanced, low-entropy zone of clarity and calm, no matter what storm is raging outside.
But understanding this in theory is one thing. How do we actually lower this mental entropy day to day when the modern world is just constantly demanding so much from us?
Well, human behavior, and all of nature for that matter, are governed by three fundamental energy states called the gunas. Let's ground this in everyday experience. First, tamas. This is a state of delusion and low energy. Think of your brain on absolute autopilot, just endlessly doom-scrolling social media. Then there's rajas. This is an excited, passionate but highly unstable state. It's the sheer panic and racing thoughts you get right before a massive deadline. But then, there's sattva. This is the pure, coherent state. It's the deep focus of a flow state. To master our mental entropy, our goal is to maximize the sattvic slice of our energetic pie to achieve true neural coherence.
And distinguishing between different types of relinquishment here is absolutely essential. Quitting a difficult project or running away from your responsibilities just because it's painful or you're terrified of failing, that is rajasic tyaga. It produces nothing but sorrow because it's entirely driven by anxiety and discomfort. Sattvic tyaga is completely different. Sattvic tyaga is saying, this is my duty, and then performing it flawlessly. It's fearless engagement with the present moment, doing what's required simply because it's the right thing to do, while remaining completely detached from whether it's a massive success or a total failure.
When we act from that pure, sattvic state, we tap into something called avyakta prakriti. This is the unmanifest primordial essence, the deep quantum vacuum itself. We literally stop fighting the chaotic, stressful surface ways of the classical world, and instead we anchor ourselves in the silent, infinite potential of the unmanifest universe. It's a powerful reminder that reality exists on a continuum far, far beyond our daily microscopic stressors.
So let's bring all this together. How do we take this combined wisdom, the profound physics of the universe, and the highly practical verses of the Gita, and use it to completely transform our daily lives into an art of living peacefully? It comes down to three fundamental steps that seamlessly integrate thermodynamics and the Gita to drastically reduce your daily anxiety. Step 1. Accept universal impermanence. You have to deeply understand that the material world is a constantly shifting quantum field. Things will change. Step 2. Practice karma yoga. Focus intensely on your actions and your duties, not the outcomes. Remember, you modify probability fields through focused action, not by agonizing over the future. And step 3, cultivate mindfulness to reduce your ego's demand for total control. Doing this immediately lowers your mental entropy and conserves your vital energy. Ultimately, true liberation, or moksha, as Chapter 18 describes it, isn't some mystical, faraway escape from the physical world. It's a deep, internal harmony. It's finding perfect peace with the unpredictable, probabilistic quantum nature of existence. It is fully accepting that while you absolutely cannot control the ultimate outcome of the cosmic field, you have complete and total power over your own internal energy and your awareness. So, to wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final thought. Science and ancient wisdom are both explicitly telling us that consciousness is fundamental. You're not just a passive victim of circumstance, you are the conscious observer. Since your awareness directly influences the energetic world around you, lowering your mental entropy and collapsing possibilities into reality, what probabilistic field will you choose to collapse today? Choose your focus wisely
Act without attachment and find your peace.